Short game wise, yes, I can. Long game wise, no. No, I have not.
He's talking the long game.
They played the long game.
The long game, gotta play the long game.
They're experienced and they played the long game.
No, you're talking the long game.
They're experienced and they played the long game.
Very nice.
Long game is back.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Long Game Podcast. Here we are. I'm Dave. This is my friend Casey. It's Casey.
We did it. We started a podcast, Dave.
I got to tell you, I have spent more time on this than anything maybe in the last 3 weeks.
Work-wise, not parenting, not at home.
Yeah,
stuff.
no,
Of course.
Like computer-wise. And it's so funny because I've had like a marketing podcast as part of my job for 6-7 years, and for my Exit 5 business I have one, and I've done like 100 episodes, and it's very much like I book a guest, we show up, we wing it. And I went into this like expecting to do that with you, and we've spent so much time like working through the format, working through the agenda, and I think that speaks to a little bit of each of our personalities, but I also think we're in a much better spot.
And I'm sure we'll get into this, but I've spent way more time working on this in the past month than my own golf game in the past 12 months. So that should show you where things are.
We will get into that. It's about, because I mean, it's only been about 2.5 hours. So there's a lot.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I'm excited to do this. If anything, it's going to give us an excuse to talk about golf every week. And I think one of the things that one of the reasons that we want to do this is just there are so many, like you and I starting this podcast is not to have a podcast necessarily about the PGA Tour. We're going to talk about some of that stuff. But to me, it's like the random text message that you and I like would not talk for 6 months. Then like I might text you some like ridiculous scenario that happened on the golf course. Like those are the stories. That's why I wanted to start this podcast. I listened to this podcast called The Shotgun Start, and they have this segment at the end of it where they do, it's called Golf Advice, where listeners write in and they just tell things that happen on the golf course. And every time I play golf in a new situation, I'm reminded about how like just the characters you meet, the ridiculous scenarios that pop in. And so that's kind of like what I'm most looking forward to in doing this with you, right?
Well, we love golf, right? That's the easy way to put it. You and I love golf. And we were thinking about names. The long game, obviously, there's a meaning there, off the tee. But we've talked a lot about why we love this game, and I love it so much because it's a game you can play your entire life. Like how many sports can you play from, when you're, 5, 6, 7? A lot of people can start that early to play till you're in your 90s, right? And competitively. So it's a long game. There's a million reasons that name resonates with me. But we love golf, and any reason to talk about it, I'm all in.
But do you feel like has golf taken a different, like as you've gotten older or changed in any way, like does golf have a different role in your life than it did? And I'm asking that because I grew up, I think similar to you, like very Massachusetts, New England, into sports, into Boston sports specifically. But something has happened with me as the more that I've gotten older and had more time to play golf, it's kind of become like the one sport that I've gravitated towards. And there's like all these layers to unpack. I kind of feel like you're coming at it from a similar thing, but like, is your love for golf different now in your mid 30s than it was maybe when you were like 22?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd say it's more intense. As you get older, you have kids, priorities, right? You have to focus on things, right? I'm sure you followed every Boston sport, and now you're down to the Celtics, if even that. We all have to choose our things and spend our time certain places. I don't think that's so much of it for golf for me. I think a lot of people it is. I've always loved golf. I've loved watching it. I was the 6-year-old that would sit and watch golf with my dad on the couch. It's never been boring to me. I've always loved it. So I don't know if it's, you and I played intramural basketball together, when we were interns together at a college. And I think there's something about after my ninth, sprained ankle and crutches walking into meetings, carrying a laptop, having someone have to carry my laptop into the meeting for me. was like, you know what, I should probably retire from this sport. So, naturally you kind of just gravitate toward one thing, but I found golf. I've always loved it, and the more I've gotten to play it, the more I've got into the details of it, which is, I think, really where you need to not have a lot of sports to spend time on when you're going over degree lofts and all this kind of stuff. I love it. There's the game on the course, but there's also the game off the course. So it's my favorite.
Interesting. So I didn't know. So you felt this like affinity since you were a kid. Golf has always kind of been,
You?
Yes, but I think for me, I watched it, but it was more like it was just kind of like it was a nostalgic thing. Like it reminds me of like being at home, maybe taking a nap on the couch on a Sunday afternoon and golf is on, or like I'm just sitting there with my dad and it just happens to be on. For me, it was much more about like playing, because I kind of grew up, my dad played, my grandfather played, and so I would just kind of play with them, and I was always into sports and a pretty good athlete. And so I just kind of picked up golf, and then I started working at a course in like 8th grade, and I just was kind of always around the game and whacking balls, but I was never not as into like I can't remember like I'm like you, I can't even remember, like I don't know, like if you were like, oh, 2001 Tiger, like I bet you could rattle off some like I don't remember like moments or Ryder Cup or this or that. I feel like I'm just starting to get into that part of it now. Also, you're a clown. If you have a calendar on the back.
Thank
you. This is why I'm giggling the whole time. This guy scrambled to prepare to get into this office for this podcast, and the back of his the calendar says Monday golf, Tuesday golf.
It's the details. I told you, I love the details. I love the details of the game,
which isn't even true. You haven't even played. All right,
and we're already keying in on visuals on an audio podcast.
Sorry. No, this is what you got to do. This is how you get people. It's how you get people onto YouTube, right? Like
you're the master. I'll follow your lead here.
Like Joe Rogan and Elon had to order a pizza because it was like literally them eating it on the podcast to get people to watch that.
What episode will that be for us? The pizza episode. 100?
It depends on you. It depends on you and the family moving up to Vermont, which is a bigger conversation, and your wife will be in my DMs after this.
All right. Well, this is a great show, Dave. It's been great talking to you.
All right. So we have a couple different sections that we're going to go through each week. We'll see where this goes. Luckily, Casey and I both have charming personalities that will be the feature of the show. But we're going to get into we're going to talk about news from around the golf world. We'll make some picks for the week. We have a little twist on how we're going to do picks, which Casey came up with, which is great. It's why I keep him around. He has a creative mind. We're talking about some news, like my favorite golf organization, Boston Common Golf Club. We'll get into that. Then we're going to talk about our games, some, what we're doing in our games. I actually just got back from a golf trip in Vegas. We're going to talk about that. Well, we're going to talk about Casey's game. We'll do a little check-in and talk about what's in the bag. And then we have a section at the end where we're going to kind of hop around a bunch of different topics, but ask each other, is this a move on or around the course? Is this in play or is this out of bounds? We have a couple other segments that we're going to wrap up with. So first, recap of last week's event. What was it? The Butterfield Bermuda Championship. Casey was locked in.
I don't know if it's part of the official name, but I think it's called the prestigious Butterfield Bermuda Championship. But shout out Camilla Vegas, right? First win since, is it Camilla?
Yeah.
Camilla Soprano Vegas?
Camilo Villegas. Did you not take Spanish in high school? You seem like a French guy.
I just haven't thought about him since 2014, the last time he won. So shout out to him for, that's quite a layoff to be back on the winner's podium, huh?
Yeah, he finished T2 last week, and we're gonna talk about a bit more about him later. But honestly, great, good for him. We didn't start the podcast last week, so don't really care so much about who won. My biggest
you would have had him though. You would have had him. You would have been all over him, right?
We'll get there. I would have been all over him. Do you understand? Like, is this? So starting in January, there's one golf season. There's the 2024 season. Do you
So I think,
understand?
well, I think I don't know how long they've been doing this, but they just transitioned back to, I guess, PGA Tour transitioned back to a calendar year season, which I think is kind of contradicted by the fact that the tournaments going on now at the end of 2023 count towards next year's thing. I think that's a 1 year kind of exemption.
Got it.
But yeah, I think this is something called like the FedEx Fall, which is their way of kind of shoehorning in these tournaments into next year's calendar, and then every year beyond that will be the 2014, the 2024 season, 25, 26. Now it kind of crosses the calendar year, so they're trying to get back on the calendar schedule, which they had been previously, but they got off it. Now they're back on it. I'm sure that helped clarify for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, these are just kind of like left out. Like next year, the events that are happening November 2024 are part of that same calendar year.
Let me just say, first of all, if anyone's coming to this podcast to get news, you're in the wrong place.
Yes,
We're struggling just as much as you are with this, probably more so, and we're confusing you more so. But
this is
yeah,
why we wanted to do it, though. Like, I'm not like we talked about this last week when we did a little prep. Is like I'm not here to pretend like I know this. This is like I'm getting into this and I'm interested.
Well, first of all, and we talked about this. They've done a terrible job of explaining this just in general, and this is all a product of Live Golf and their overreaction to that, and making the designated events, and that means they had to shift around the calendar. There's something wacky the end of this year too, where Tom Kim just won the Shriners, I think 2-3 weeks ago, and he won that tournament twice in a row, but it happened in the same year, in the same season. So he's like the first person to ever win the same tournament twice in the same year, because they had to move it up because of the changes. I don't know. It's a mess. My advice would be to Google it, but and then get more confused. But basically, this is like a fall kind of mini FedEx Cup. They call it the Fall FedEx Cup, and then you can actually win exemptions through this too to the end of the year. And then starting in January, they'll kind of kick off the full real calendar season.
What's the moment for you? Obviously, this year we're starting a golf podcast, so it's going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, what's the time of year for you that like switches where you're like, oh, golf, it's golf season, not for playing, but like watching? What's the tournament, the time of year that like it kind of gets real for you?
It's a good question. I think there's two ways I look at that. It's like the major season is kind of its own thing, right? That's within the season, starting with the Masters in April. But I think it's generally around the Super Bowl, and that's around waste management, right? And that's pretty strategic, right? That always finishes a couple hours before kickoff. People are Super Bowl parties, sitting around all day with the TV on. It's a good time to get eyes back on golf, and I think they kind of run from there. But it's become almost a 24/7 sport. It really is. Even these weeks that the top 150 guys aren't really there, I'll still watch it. I'll watch anything. I'll watch you can put collegiate, women's, amateur, anything golf on, and I'm there. I'm watching it on the Golf Channel, and I have. There's something about just what's this course, what's this shot. I'm there.
Well, that speaks to like the thing that you and I have talked about a lot, which is like you could watch an NBA game and you're never going to dunk it like Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
But you're watching a random ass golf tournament on a Saturday afternoon, and you see someone like feather a little 8-iron in there. You're like, wow, that looked like attainable. I've held an 8-iron. I've hit a good shot with an 8-iron.
Especially when they shank one. I go, I got that shot.
Whoa. Yeah.
They're just like us.
I don't even want to hear that word.
Okay, sorry.
I played in this.
Is that teasing the Vegas tournament?
No, not yet. But I just a little side story on the word shanks is I was playing in this tournament last spring in May, and two of the guys. This is like competitive. Your own ball in the hole. Like you got to score it. We were playing threesomes. Two of the guys in my group had just the absolute shanks, and I was playing great. And I just tried to like not even. I didn't even want to be near them. And like, it was one of those situations like I was playing really well, but those two were just off like joking. You know what I mean? Like joking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
how bad they were playing. I was like, guys, I don't want this energy. So I
It's
didn't like,
contagious.
it is contagious. I don't even want to hear the word.
Put a mask on.
My answer to that question would be the same as you. There's just something about that weekend, Saturday, Sunday of the waste management is when it starts to get, because that's like beginning of February. You got good golf coming up in February. They go out to the West Coast, and they come back. They play Florida. It's usually around that time. Although I do have a memory of growing up like as a kid that first January weekend when they go and play in Hawaii.
Yeah,
is a good one. All right,
yeah.
this week they are in Sea Island, Georgia, for the RSM Classic. Last year's winner of the RSM Classic is Adam Svensson. Had never heard of him until so just to show you how serious we are about this. Never heard of him, but he won last year and he defeated Brian Harmon, Callum Tarrant, Sahith Theegala, and he won a cool $1.4 million.
How about this? 19 under he won, right? He opened 1 over.
Wow, so
he's 20 under Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Pretty good weekend, huh?
Was it when John Rahm won the Masters? Didn't John Rahm make like a double on one this year and won the Masters or something like that?
Was it double or triple? I forget. Yeah, it was something one of those. Yeah.
Anyway, do you know what happens to me if I make a triple on one?
Make a double on 2?
Instant ejection. I'm like, oh my God, I'm already 3 over. I have 17 holes left and I'm 3 over.
I know the feeling.
Past champions of note, Svensson won last year. Robert Streb, your winner in 2020. Tyler Duncan in 2019. Charles Howell III, Austin Cook, Mackenzie Hughes, and Kevin Kisner. So that tells you everything you need to know about this event. And then in my notes, I actually put a chubby Kiz. I was looking through the website and there was like a 2015 Kevin Kisner, and he's gotten in a little bit better shape.
He's had a rough go of it, but good guy to root for.
I guess people love him because of the Barstool stuff, but I don't have a problem. Okay, Sea Island, Georgia is home of Davis Love III.
Talk about electric.
During our prep, you were like, "Oh, I was going to ask you. Now I'm going to ask you. I hope you didn't research this, but do you know how many majors has Davis Love won a major, and if so, which one was it?"
I did not research this. I was just thinking about this. I'm going to go with 0. I'm going to say he's one of those guys probably that like he's won the Players or something where that's like the 5th major, right? But I know he's definitely never won the Masters.
He has.
I don't think he's won the British, and maybe like probably not the Open, maybe a random PGA Championship. I'm going to go no majors. I'm going to say he won the Players in like 1994. I don't know.
All right, he won the PGA. He has one major. It was the PGA.
Really?
You were right. It was the 1997 PGA.
Wow. Where was that?
That was at Winged Foot.
Oh.
Classic. Can I see? Oh, wow. Okay. It looks like there's a T1, John Daly and Davis Love III, so he must have beat John Daly in a playoff.
Really? Yeah, well, Daly not known for his stamina. If you can get him in the playoff, you probably
no, sorry. That was the first round. Check out this leader. This is a great leaderboard. Sunday, August 7th, 1997. Davis Love, Justin Leonard, Jeff Maggart, Lee Janzen, Tom Kite. God, thank God for Tiger.
Yeah, but you know what? I know all those guys because I had some like Sega PGA Tour or whatever, and those are like there was no one on the cover because there was no one to market back then. You could put Lee Janzen on. I mean, besides Peter Jacobson with the Golden Tee, there was really slim pickings there. Davis Love was about as electric and brandable as you'd get back then.
There's this one course that I play up here sometimes in Vermont, and in the it's just so old, right? And in the bathroom they have one of these like 1992 like Ryder Cup posters. You know?
Yep, awesome, amazing.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like a cartoon. They're kind of like caricature drawings, but it's like
those are my, the Jordan, the 80s, the like Converse, the famous basketball iconic. Those are my like versions of those. I'm on eBay looking for those. If
but it's selling. Just like the guys. It's like like Lee It's these guys like Jim Furyk, Lee Janzen. You're like, man,
Fuzzy Zeller.
Golf has come such a long way. It's so much more interesting than it ever was.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, we talked a lot about the season. Why
You're
don't
not going to
you
bring up the Davis Love Grill?
the Davis Love Grill? I haven't had a chance to go there yet, but if you do find yourself in Sea Island, Georgia, make sure you check out the Davis Love Grill.
If I'm sure there's if khakis were a sandwich, you're in luck there.
Wait, no, I actually did look this up. Davis Love.
What could be more
Davis
bland
Love
than the
Grill
Davis Love Grill?
menu. What was
The dessert is vanilla ice cream served with a napkin and a spoon. That's it.
I bet
Turkey
you wouldn't
sandwich.
bet
plain.
you wouldn't believe that the Davis Love Grill is pub fare.
No, yeah. That is no music.
It looks like a country club, but it's a
Yeah.
restaurant. At least that's what the photo looks like.
Yeah. It's
All right.
it's very average. It's very average.
You and I are going to be
It's got one major that you forget about. Put it that way.
what? A great burger. I bet they have a Caesar salad.
They do.
All right. We're gonna do picks every week, but obviously we're not very serious people with following the tour, and so
if that wasn't evident already.
Yeah, as we're my prep notes have to make sure to mention that the Davis Love owns the Davis Love Grill in Sea Island, Georgia. Please explain to you how we're going to handle picks on this show, my friend.
Well, yeah, I mean everyone does picks, right? And you shouldn't bet any of these picks that we're giving you. So why don't we do something different every week? Let's do like a grinders thing where we're picking really deep cuts, guys outside the top 150. And there are some lifers there that are not exactly grinders, but we'll call this the grinders tour. It'll be me versus you. Each week we'll pick three guys outside the top 150.
Yep.
Whatever money they win that week will go to kind of our money leaderboard, and then end of the calendar season. And we're going to keep doing research and figuring out when this calendar season starts and finishes.
Correct.
Help us out with this, guys. Google, get on your Googles. But whoever has the most money at the end of the year, I think we should make a bet out of it. Whoever the loser is, I think should have to caddy for the other in a tournament.
I love that idea.
Let's do it.
Okay.
No shorts, mid-August. The full onesie.
Yeah. You have to wear a bib.
Like, sir, this is a one-day charity event. Like, well,
hey guys,
we're taking this very seriously.
I'm actually bringing my buddy to caddy for me today. This is not a tournament. I just want to have him there.
It's hilarious. All right, let's do it.
Do you have your picks? How do you want to do this? You want to just go 1-1?
No, why don't you go? You tell me who you get. What do we get coming up first?
All right, so we got the RSM. We got the RSM Classic.
First, can I want to start something real quick. I'd like to do the title sponsor challenge with you every week.
Great.
So, can you tell me what RSM is? What do they do?
It took a lot to not Google this. I had like a general idea. Okay, so the RSM, this
seems like a client we could have had where we started our careers.
Casey and I both worked at right out of college. We were interns at a tech PR firm, and it was like it wasn't like a consumer tech. It was like deep security, IT. So RSM, I feel like, is some type of cybersecurity software. Do you know what it is? Do you know RSM?
Look, I hope I'm right. And
oh my God, no.
I think it's a leading provider of audit, tax, and consulting services, Dave. And I think you're not wrong with RSM being a data security something back in the day. The day I moved on from that job was the day I moved on from that industry, and I haven't thought about it since. So there's something there that's kind of poking in the back of my brain. But
it just felt I wouldn't have guessed that. I wouldn't have guessed audit, tax, and consulting for the middle market, not the small business, not the enterprise. They're focused on the mid market, but it used to be McGladrey, and this is 2015. McGladrey changes its name to RSM in a global branding. So it used to be the RSM McGladrey. Okay, this is going to be great. I can't wait to do this every week.
Well, hot start to that. So you're 0 for 1. Let's do a quick bonus one from last week. The Butterfield Bermuda Championship. What is the Butterfield Bermuda Championship? What is Butterfield?
I want to say, like, I'm just going to make this up. I have absolutely no fucking idea. I think it's like I want to say it's like an insurance company.
Sorry, that's incorrect. That's a bank founded and based in Bermuda, the Butterfield Group.
That seems like Bermuda seems to be the place. Like if you made a lot of money and you're trying to do some shady tax stuff, like you want to have that. You want to have that cash in Bermuda, no?
Yeah, yeah. So that's 0 for 2, Dave. Better luck next week. I'm going to pencil you in for getting the John Deere Classic, right? But especially since you live in Vermont now, but
What do
we'll
they
cross
do?
that bridge when we get there.
Is that like John Daly? Something different.
Oh, God.
All right. So my first pick, you already talked about him this week. My boy, Camilo
Wow.
Villegas. He is number 163 in the world. Okay. Not only did he win last week, but I happened to catch a little bit of the golf the week before, and he was in the mix. And I was like, wow, he just won. Wasn't he just in the mix last week? He hit a T2. So that's a T2 and a win back-to-back weeks. But I'm not here to pick for the golf. I just like his swag. Like he has this like all white outfit with the white belt and the popped collar, which like the way he wears the pop collar, like he doesn't look like a douchebag. It just kind of works. Maybe it's because he's
Yeah.
Spanish or whatever he is. And then he's got the red and white Jordan lows on. I myself, I am a former sneakerhead. I have a closet full of Jordans. I can never wear them on the golf course because they feel they hurt. They don't feel good. They're not comfortable to wear. He pulls it off. He's also he's also bald, +1 for me. I love that. And he's also kind of jacked, which I really like that. He has this like tug on your heartstrings story about he's just horrifically sad. He lost a young daughter. And he has that, infamous green reading pose where he kind of would get down there like a little snake. So I love Camilo 163. I'm really looking for my people tell me that Camilo has a strong chance to go back to back this week. Next guy I have for the week, I got my guy Stu Cink. Stu Cink, 276 in the world. Did you pick him too?
No, he's I'm not a fan, but continue.
I can't wait to hear why. Stu Cink, he's just always around. And I actually fell in love with Stu Cink this year during the Ryder Cup because
Really?
yeah, the Team USA posted this picture where it was Stricker, Steve Stricker, Stu Cink, Wyndham Clark, Scotty Scheffler, Max Homa, Brooks Koepka, and they all have shorts on. Stu Cink is an absolute fucking unit. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah, he's a big dude.
Dude, he's an absolute unit.
Yeah.
I saw his calves. He has humongous legs, and anybody who thinks that golf is not an athlete sport, this is why this guy's 60 years old and still smashing the ball. So I got Stu Cink at 276. He's an absolute unit. Also,
the hat tan too. One of the all-time hat tans.
Oh, dude. We could talk. I could do a whole episode about being a bald guy wearing a golf hat. I got the window on the back of my head. So he's a unit. Also coming off a top 10 at the Butterfield. He just finished 7th last week. Thanks to Google for that. And then, I'm the worst at this game. But and then my third pick, absolutely out of nowhere, he's missed 15 out of his last 20 cuts.
Oh.
He gained fame in 2022 because he took his shirt off with Joel Damon at the Waste Management, and that is the big rig, the 395th ranked player in the world, Harry Higgs.
Love it.
2022 was a big year for him. He took off his shirt at the Waste. He finished T14 at the 2022 Masters. He's actually a sneaky guy that's been on a bunch of these golf podcasts. He's been on the Golfer's Journal. He's been on No Laying Up, and he's kind of one of those guys that when you listen to the interview, you're like, shit, I kind of like that guy. Like that was, yeah. So I've always kind of had a soft spot for the big rig, but 15 out of 20 cuts, not looking good. Those are my 3 grinders picks for the week.
I like it. Real quick on Villegas, they did him dirty with when they changed the rules. I think you can put your knee on the green now, right? Or whatever. Whatever he did. Yeah, well, he did. I think he had to balance on one hand, right? Because you couldn't touch a knee, or was it 2 knees, or whatever it was. I think they basically made it so he could do it now, but give that to the guy, right? The guy practice. How many hours in the gym is that guy just resting on one hand for you to just change the rule and I'm like that? Anyway,
that's one of those things where, like, if you just did that on like a Saturday morning round with guys from your course, if you read like an 8-footer and got into that position, like the amount of shit that you would get.
Gotcha. And look,
also,
Stuart Stink, real quick, Stuart Stink.
go ahead.
When he beat Tom Watson at the 2009 British, would have been like one of the great sports stories of all time. Tom Watson, like 1,000 years old, about to win. He bogeys the last hole, has to go in a playoff with Stuart Stink. You got to lay down there to Watson. You can't beat that guy there. I'm sorry, but
didn't Stink miss like a bunny in a major, like when we were wasn't it like a 2006, like didn't he miss a bunny and like lost to Retief Goosen or something like that?
it could be, Dave. I'm not sure. Let's get on the Google machines, all right?
Also, on the last thing on the Camilo thing, I didn't know that wasn't a rule, but I have this memory of 2 years ago watching the U.S. Open when Matt Fitzpatrick won. His caddy, Billy Foster, was literally laying down on like the 18th green.
Yeah, I was there.
You were there, and I was like, you could do that. So
yeah,
you can do it. All right,
shut up.
Who are your picks, brother?
Also, check that you can do that before you lose your member guest or something. Okay? Don't quote us.
No, I was listening to this podcast. These guys
we need a disclaimer at the start of every episode. Like,
I think our disclaimer is like not knowing anything. Like we've not knowing anything about the PGA Tour leading up to now. You're good.
All right, I'm going to go quick on mine. Your last pick was Higgs, right? I'm going to go from Higgs to Sig. Grayson Sig, number 236 in the world, from Georgia, Augusta, actually. Only 3.5 hours away from the tournament, so I'm going to call him a hometown favorite here. Top 15 last year. Playing okay. I'm going with them. Ryan Palmer as well, played well last week in Bermuda. Number 194 in the world. Kind of one of the definitions of kind of a grinder. Same with Camilo. Like, these guys have been around for a while. I think Ryan Palmer peaked at like 23rd in the world years ago, and down to 194 and still grinding. And I think he was a top 5 last week. Was right in the mix coming down the stretch. And I'm going to go with Tyler Duncan for my third pick. Who you scoffed at earlier when you read a list of past champions.
2019 champion Tyler Duncan.
Loves the course. Haven't talked to him about it, but I'm assuming if he won there. You could play the worst course in the world, Dave. You know this, and you play it well. Great course, right? So he's number 202 in the world. He's had a decent fall, past winner. Loves the course, like I said. Can't miss. So those are my 3 picks. Sig, Palmer, Duncan. Lock it in.
And we're just going to put this on the record now. Like, we're playing the long game with this podcast. Like, this is going to be the Grinders podcast. And so if Tyler Duncan, if you win and you're listening to this, you're going to hear from our people. We're going to get you on the show.
And also, let me just say real quick aside, I'm a huge David Letterman fan. He had this thing for years where he wanted Oprah on his show. You were in bed, believe me. You had parents that got you in bed on time. That did a good job with you. He for years had this thing. He wanted Oprah on the show, and he just would, like, every episode make some ridiculous comment. And eventually, it took like years, but like 10 years, but got on. I would just like to say, this is a Grinders podcast. We love these guys, outside the top 150, trying to make it work each week. Having said that, this is a Rory McIlroy podcast, Dave. We would like to, we should have done this at the start. Rory, that's on us. I'm sorry. But open invitation anytime he wants to come. He can make some picks. Yep. That might be an issue, actually, but
just like
legality. But open invite to Rory, fan favorite, friend of the podcast. Open invite.
Yeah, I mean, we got to work through the timing a little bit. Like, you have a job, I have a job, we each have kids. But like, if there's an hour we can make the Zoom call work and get Rory on, like, I'm open to it.
He's a good kid. Speaking of that, I had my first child, a daughter, in February 2020. We named her Poppy, Poppy. Yeah. About 6 weeks later, Rory had his first child, daughter, named her Poppy. So kind of did me dirty there, stole the spotlight, so you could make it up to us or me. Come on the pod, Rory. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
For an already somewhat stressed and nervous individual, was there a better time to have a baby than February 2020?
I mean, I had watched Contagion like 2 months before, so no, I was
right.
I was stocking up on like Dude wipes and Pedialyte. So yeah, no.
All right, let's get into the news.
That's a story for a different time.
Yeah, well, that's the kids episode. Let's get into the news here. The news around the golf world since we last chatted. And this is our podcast. It might not just be breaking news. It's going to be news stories that we see that are interesting to me. Obviously, the big thing in the golf world right now is the TGL and your boy Rory. I guess the name of the company is like TWRM Management or something. So Rory and Tiger and some other guy created this company. They own this TGL, which I thought stood for the Golf League.
Me too. This is like one of those things where you can't find out what it stands for. I've done minutes of research on this. They have minutes, and I can't figure out what it's. I assume it's the Golf League, but
yeah. I guess it's Tomorrow Golf League because the company is called.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Breaking news here on the pod.
Breaking news. I started listening to No Laying. I listened like 30 minutes of No Laying Up yesterday, and they were talking about the TGL. Okay.
Wait, there's other golf pods?
For now.
Someone beat us to this?
For now there are. They don't have the personalities that we have. So, but your boy Rory is in the mix here in a big way. Through him and Tiger started this thing. Boston. So here's what's funny. There's a bunch of these different teams, and one of the teams is called the Boston Common Golf Club. And what I thought was so funny about it, and I don't know that much about TGL as we talked about, but these guys, so this is played indoors in Orlando, Florida or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet you got Adam Scott, Tyrrell Hatton, Rory McIlroy, like parading around Fenway, around Boston, doing photo shoots. They will never once be. This is like I always laugh like when they the Patriots are on national TV and they do that like shot of like downtown Boston and it's Foxborough's 45 minutes away. Like they're doing all this marketing. Anyway, give me in your words, what is the TGL? What do you know about it? Is it interesting? Will you watch it?
So when they first announced this, like probably about a year ago, maybe a little longer, ever since then, I've been like pumped for this, right? It's just more golf content. Golf at night is great. It's a great time to be able to watch. It's much harder to watch breaking news, much harder to watch golf on Sunday at 2 p.m. than it is, at night, which is why some of these West Coast tournaments they've been experimenting with the tour that finish at like 8, 9 o'clock on a Sunday night are awesome.
Give it to me. The US a major at like 8 o'clock on my couch on a Saturday night. I mean, that is in all seriousness, that has been the hardest part for me is like you and I have young kids. Like it's a tough ask to be like a gorgeous sunny day. It's 1 o'clock and you just can't be inside sitting on the couch watching golf.
This is a topic for another episode, but why isn't there a night tournament yet?
Yeah.
Anyway, the more I read about this, the more I'm conflicted. On one hand, it's more golf content for me to consume, which, as I've stated, I'm a huge fan of. But I don't know. It's at the end of the day, it's also. I saw a great point someone said on Twitter, or excuse me, X. At the end of the day, these are just guys standing around hitting at a simulator, right? And so far, the vibes have been very serious. Like these guys are taking it very serious, which could be a little awkward. Yeah. So it's going to be a little interesting to see how like the competition plays out. And like sometimes these ideas you think are great, like the match, right? And then you tune in and it's like there's a lot of nothing going on. But I guess they're going to have like a modular kind of chipping short game area, which will be a cool visual, I guess, where, I mean, if anybody's ever putted or chipped on a simulator, it's not the most accurate thing, right? Depending on what you're using, but it could be cool. I mean, it's Tiger Woods. I watch him do just about anything. But we'll see. What do you think?
Playing is I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So,
he's playing. I mean, he doesn't have to walk.
Roster. Yes.
That's true. I think he basically like backed into this idea. Like I can't walk anymore. Now, how do I create a league around my limitation? This kind of came out of, and he just was announced, I think last week of the sixth and final owner and player. So yeah, I think he's going to be playing definitely.
All right. So I'm just going to read this. TGL is a planned golf league created by TMRW Sports. Uh, TMRW Sports. Those are the initials of Tiger and Rory, kind of split up, which is weird. Tomorrow Sports, a venture formed by sports executive Mike McCarley and professional golfers Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy in partnership with the PGA Tour. Launches in January 2024. It will be held on weeknights in conjunction with the PGA Tour schedule. As you mentioned, it's indoors. They're doing an 18-hole a match play on a virtual course with a special short game area. 15 matches, each last 2 hours, and it's played primetime Monday and Tuesday nights. I actually have not necessarily a hot take, but I'm really into this. Ask me if I ever watch it in January, right? But
Yeah.
and here's why. I think the problem is like the golfers are not always great charismatically, and they don't always have great personalities, and so like it comes off as like they kind of only have this like I'm very serious about this thing. But to me, this is an entertainment product, and what I think is so cool about golf is like the old school slogan, like these guys are good. Like these guys are so fucking good. And so to watch them play golf in a controlled environment on a simulator, and we can talk more about this in future episodes. Like I think the simulator is amazing. I didn't expect it to be so fun. I got into it last year. It's a very fun way to play golf.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have this like 65-foot screen that they're hitting to, also they're not directly in front of the screen. So it's not just going to be like a thwap. They're, I guess, 30 yards away. So you actually be able to see some of the shot. And then I love this idea of like, they're going to play, but then they're going to have to, watching Tiger have to finesse a little up and down on a green that has moving parts. I think it'd be cool. I just think it's more of like a YouTube type of entertainment product than it is even compared to the match. But
like, are you ever going to see a highlight on SportsCenter? I don't mean like maybe someone chips in on the physical green, but I'm talking about like if someone has a hole in one on the simulator, right? Is that a moment?
I don't think it should be. I think I see this as like, this is great marketing for the personalities and people on the PGA Tour. And it's going to help grow the overall, like the strategy would be like, this thing helps grow the overall appeal of the PGA Tour. I think if they try to treat this as such a serious thing, like who really cares if they won? I don't think that's going to be interesting to me. But I do think it's cool to see them embracing technology and embracing more of like the social media, side of things.
And look, the long game on this, we should have a little bell that goes on every time we say the long game, a little ding. Eventually, like you'll be able to play alongside them, right? Or play the same course as the pros. So there'll be ways they can get people involved with this interactively.
So that's really interesting that you mentioned that. So one of the things that's really cool about like simulator golf and playing on the TrackMan is TrackMan has every week they have virtual competitions. And so if I go to the TrackMan and like some days I just hit balls, but someday I'll play and I'm like, I don't know where to play today. So I'll go to tournaments and I can go and play 18 holes. And there's a leaderboard of everybody from around the world, very good golfers playing on the TrackMan. And what's cool is I can think that I'm getting better at golf and I go and shoot, 74 on the TrackMan. I played the exact same course in the exact same conditions, and some 16-year-old kid in Sweden shot 62.
Yeah.
That's what I think is cool. It's like gives you that benchmark. Last note on this, like they have the right people. Like the who's doing this is fucking awesome. Cam Young, Tiger Woods, JT, Sahith, Adam Scott, Xander, Justin Rose, Morikawa, McIlroy, Lowry, Minwoo Lee, Kisner, Tom Kim, Billy Ho, Max Homa, Tyrrell Hatton, Lucas Glover, Ricky Fowler, Tommy Fleetwood, Matt Fitzpatrick, Wyndham Clark, Cantlay, and Keegan Bradley. Great.
But Cantlay isn't?
He is. That's what it says on the wiki page.
Wow. That's going to be electricity. What do you make of Ron dropping out? He claimed he didn't want to do the travel to Florida. I mean, I feel like I know he lives in Arizona. They all live around Florida, Jupiter area. So I could see the travel, but these guys are also on private jets every 5 minutes. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it. As somebody who doesn't like to travel, and I have a tendency to like make a lot of plans and then like cancel my plans, I can understand where he's coming from. Also, I saw this picture. John Rahm has boys. John Rahm's like best friend is Zach Ertz.
Oh yeah, remember his story from the from the Masters. Bring it back to their double or triple he started
Yes,
with. Yeah,
that's
he like
right.
texted him right before it.
So I see this picture. It's J.J. Watt, Zach Ertz, John Rahm, and Michael Phelps just hanging out with their wives having dinner.
That's wow, what a crew that is.
All right, so
last thing on Boston
Yeah.
or on the virtual league and Boston Common.
Yeah.
Again, this is a Rory podcast. I don't know if you've seen it. The Boston Common logo is there's a Rory McIlroy podcast. I'm not sure you've had anything to do with it, so I would never criticize it or anything to do with them. If I were to, I would say it's one of the worst logos I've ever seen in my life. There's a frog. Is it well, I guess, is it Boston Common and the Commons is the frog pond? Is that the connection? But like even beyond the frog, even just
so
the font and the way they write, it's not.
This is great.
Again, like,
dude, let me just.
I love Boston sports. Rory's like my favorite guy. You put the two together, and I still don't know if I'd wear that hat.
This is the podcast I've always wanted. We just get to talk about whatever we want about with golf. I have a reason to care. The Boston Common golf logo with the frog and the golf ball is like the frog's, throat.
What are we doing here?
I'll give you.
Having said that, if this was like a design competition for kids or something, we apologize.
This is like, underprivileged children from around the world like submitted their logos. I do think
make a little more sense.
This is just text, but like Boston Common Golf is like that's not so bad. I would wear a hat that said Boston Common Golf, a T-shirt.
I just don't love like they kind of drop the ball at the goal line.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll this is great. This gives us more to talk about. We will keep you posted on the TGL. I think we're gonna have to watch just to give us something to talk about.
Do you think we can get in early? Is like we covered this league? Because right now it's like who covers it? I don't know. No one covers it. But like the long game. They're basically
that actually
they cover
that's
they're
our
trying to figure out the name of it, what it stands for.
Like we go hard on TGL and live. That's our angle.
Yeah, super hard.
All right,
and the Butterfield Bermuda Championship.
You put this link in here, which is great. Adam Long breaks 31-year-old PGA Tour record for consecutive fairways hit.
Yeah, I mean the headline here is obviously 69 fairways in a row hit, but I mean, what a record! I mean, what do you think your record is? I was thinking maybe 5 for me. Maybe.
I think it's how many there's
69 fairways in a row is obscene.
7 is like I'm striping the ball. 69 divided by 18.
Oh, look, you can stripe the ball and
still
be
not
off
hitting
by
the fairway.
This guy 69 in a row.
Yeah, that's sick.
Crazy.
I got to look.
I think the record was like 60, right? Or it was 59 and he won.
Adam Long PGA Tour driving stats. Like, is this guy hit the ball far?
I mean, with a name like Adam Long, Dave.
Let's see his stats here.
This is the number one podcast for Googling professional athletes and telling you about them.
Who would know this? Like, who would know this? All right, total driving. So he's actually he doesn't hit the ball very far. He's 167th off the tee. However, this just shows like how good these guys are. His driving distance, he averages 291 off the tee. So,
but shout out to that guy with the last name Long, his whole life being like, look, I don't have it. I'm just going to focus on accuracy.
Yeah, but dude, this guy's he's obviously an absolute flusher. He's hit. Imagine if you hit 69 fairways in a row at an average distance of 290.
I can't. I cannot imagine that.
It's like what did Blocky say? If he had Rory's distance.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hall of Famer.
All right. So shout out to you, Adam Long. Anytime you want to come on the Long Game pod. Oh.
Ooh.
Come on.
If we could get a logo on his shirt collar, we're in business.
All right. This is a new one. Looks like you added this one today. Rory McIlroy calls Patrick Cantlay a dick.
He does, yeah. There's a interview came out Monday morning, I think, or maybe Sunday night, in the Irish Independent conversation between Rory.
Website.
Yeah, of course. We are the official podcast of the Irish Independent. But just talking about the Ryder Cup and stuff between him and Joe LaCava. He said, Joe LaCava used to be a nice guy when he was caddying for Tiger, and now he's caddying for that dick, and he's turned into an asshole.
Wow.
Pretty strong words out of Rory. I feel like this happened during the Ryder Cup, right, in October. Rory was furious. Had
Yep.
the video of him yelling at Bones.
Yep.
They win. Then the last story I heard about this was that they kind of buried the hatchet that LaCava went to the after party at the Ryder Cup and kind of, broke bread and made good. And Rory had said they were on good terms. And then who knows when they did this interview? I think it was Rory and Shane Lowry together, but so it could have been before that and just coming out now. But now it seems like he's still kind of bitter about it. So again, this is a Rory McIlroy podcast, so I guess at least I'm on his side here.
Well, look, I know Rory's your guy. I got to tell you something. I love Cantlay. Love him.
Wow.
Love him. Love him.
Wow. When you think you know a guy.
I love him.
And then
as
you
a
throw
character.
that at me.
I love him as a character. He seems like a guy who should be interning for Goldman Sachs, and he's the smartest guy on tour. But he also
has a Goldman Sachs on his shirt, doesn't he?
Of course he does. Yeah. I love him. He's just can't get any read. Has absolutely no personality. But then once a month, he just absolutely blacks out and goes psycho mode on the golf course, and he's just.
when he's on, he's a combination of, I don't even know. He's as solid as it comes when he's on.
Yeah.
But there's just nothing there.
I like him for the same reason that I am sad. Like the thing that sucks about Liv in the PGA Tour is I love Bryson and I love the Bryson narrative. I love having him on the PGA Tour. Yeah. I love just people he's just so into golf and that thing. I love all the different personalities. So
yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, you need those. You need those heels.
Yeah. All right. We're not going to stop at 12, like I said, because we're going to keep going. This is great.
Bonus content.
Yeah, bonus.
First episode, bonus content.
Bonus content. All right. So we did a little news. We're going to talk about our games for a little bit. So I actually just got back from a little golf trip out in Las Vegas, which is a real scene. The guy that I take lessons from, they have a New England PGA Pro-Am out there in Vegas. So it's 3 days. A pro from a course takes 4 people on a team. You play as a 5-some, which was a 6-hour round.
Oh, a 5-some, I was going to say. Jeez.
Dude, a 5-some in Vegas where you have to hole out. It was insanity.
At least it wasn't hot, right?
It wasn't hot. But the cart kept saying the GPS. We were like an hour and 20 behind the pace. I'm just freaking out. I hate playing slow. And I hate when nobody in the group has the self-awareness that we're playing slow and there's another group on the fairway, but some guys had 3 beers and he's just yucking it up in the bunker. I'm like, come on, Chris, rake the fucking bunker. I always take that feeling on to me. They're on us. They're going to be pressure on us. I know you do too. And I hate that. And I hate
but you always play well when that happens, right?
Oh, totally. Striping the ball.
Yeah.
So it's 5 people and it was a real scene. So the format was 3 courses, 3 days. You play 1 gross, you play 1 net. In this type of format, you need an 8 to 10 handicap who makes a lot of pars.
Yeah.
And the 8 to 10 handicaps that we had on our team, very nice guys. They were partaking in all of the recreational activities. And so just we're wandering through the desert. I think the only 4 for 3 we made from one of them was on the last day on the last hole. So it was just, we just got completely crushed out there.
Now, what would you say the range of handicaps the whole tournament was?
0 to 20 probably.
Yeah. Cool.
And so, and so we played 3 courses: TPC Las Vegas, Cascada, Rio Seco, which is a home of the Butch Harmon School of Golf. I didn't know that. I just have a couple notes. I'm not going to run down through the whole experience, obviously, but one of the games was you play this orange ball. So they give every team an orange ball, and it's some Titleist orange ball, right? And everybody has to play it for 3 holes. And one of the contests is whoever keeps the orange ball, you win a prize, right? Our orange ball did not make it past the 5th hole on the first day. It's absolutely sent it to somebody's living room. I I hit it once. I made a 4 with it. It was great, a naughty little sand save. But right after that, one of the guys just absolutely sent it. Desert golf, first time I've ever played in Vegas. You've played some desert golf. I
Oh
think
yeah,
years,
yeah.
yeah.
Palm Springs, Indio, that area. A
Uh,
lot of it, yeah.
not for me, Case.
Well, I'll tell you, you think twice before you walk into the short brush or the.
Dude, like you joke about that, but like the cart would literally go beep beep, and it would say venomous snakes in this area, and we saw one of the guys who worked at the course, and I just was like, "Hey, are there really snakes out here?" He's like, "Yeah, it's too cold for them right now, but in the summer they're everywhere." And I said, like, "Well, what?" He's like, we have guys that come here and they move them. He goes, "At that course that you played yesterday, they go out there with garden shears and they cut the
Oh my
fucking
God!
snakes in half."
Just to send a message to the other one.
Like, that's someone's job. Oh, who works at the course is to go and cut the snakes in half so they don't bother anybody.
My God.
Insane. But what I didn't like about it is like in desert golf, like there's no, on the East Coast where we play here, like you can blow one right and you're just like on the 5th hole or something like that. In the desert, you're either in the fairway or you're not in play, and that's not super fun. And then
Yeah.
it was blowing like 30 miles an hour, which the wind is so difficult for me, and it just is the elevation made it impossible to judge.
Dusty.
Yeah, it was weird. It was so dry. Like I wet my towel, and then within 5 minutes, the towel was just like evaporated, dry,
Yeah.
dusty. This one course also had like rams, like full,
Oh yeah.
rams on the course. I was like, this is nuts. But here's what I was going to tell you. So we had this caddie. Second day they had caddies, and he was just like a 4 caddy basically. But he rode around the group, did everything, read the balls. This guy, veteran caddy, all tatted up, 6'2", talking a mile a minute. I've seen this character before. Like the lifer caddy working out in Vegas.
Yeah.
On the second hole, he gave me a number that was 40 yards off. I lasered it. 120. It was 138. I had a downhill to the green. I had 128. Dead serious. He goes, I like 162 here, boss. You got to knock it down, 162 shot. And I looked at my guy Dave, who's the pro, and he's like, there's no way. He goes, hit the 128 club. I hit the 128 club, hit it to 10 feet. Yeah. This guy all day, every read was wrong, every distance was wrong, and I just was going to ask you, like, and this guy's very intense. He was in every shot, in your routine, every shot. How would you have dealt with that? Would you just have accepted the information and like just moved on?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be my question to you. There's a lot of different. I feel like we've all experienced similar things. Did you go like? I think, look, it's my personality. I'm gonna listen to the guy, be like, yeah, absolutely, and I'm just gonna grab a different club.
That's exactly.
I'm not gonna hurt his feelings.
No,
I could easily like cut it off at the, and not have to deal with it all day. And be like, don't worry about it, man. I don't have that in me. No. I'm gonna be courteous, so I might even hit, if it's a situation where it's too awkward to go change the club, I might just be like, I gotta choke this down because I don't want this club, but what am I gonna do? Say no to this guy? This guy controls my whole life right now.
It is so true. Like that is just that's a good part of your personality. But there are guys out there who would get in that guy's face on the second hole and freak out about it.
It's also the type of personality that gets yourself kidnapped or something. Like, sure, I'll get in this van.
Yes,
I don't want to offend this guy.
I don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Yeah.
Anyway, it totally just it ruined the vibe for the whole group. And one of the guys on the like 6th hole went over to him and they said about our pro. He said, "Hey, you see that guy over there?" He goes, "Don't talk to him anymore. Don't give him any information. Don't talk." And I was like, Jesus Christ. Okay. So I played nice. I made him feel loved. Can you clean this ball? Hey, what do you think this is going to do? But it was a lot out. It was a lot out there. And then my last comment on this is the first time that I've played consecutive rounds of golf multiple days in a row with the guy that I'm taking lessons from. And that is nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because
we talked about this, Dave, especially when he's like counting on you.
He was counting on me. Luckily, I played okay, but I felt like I'm not supposed to be hitting a cut. And every time I'd hit a little cut, I'm like, this guy's over there being like, no, the swing path was -7 and this is not good. And he wasn't. He was thinking about his own game, but it was like, man, I just don't. these guys who are so good and play on tour at any level, there's 15 different factors that you have to be able to block out. And like, I can't even, the guy who I pay to give me golf lessons is watching me play golf, and I'm like a fucking shell of myself in front of him. Like, it's so hard.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
But how did you guys finish?
We finished like 19th out of 40 teams. It was insane. There were guys like, we had 5 people, and I think on an average hole there were 2 of us in there. These guys sucking down 6 transfusions by the 7th hole. Like there was no hope.
Now, did the scores get worse every day, or?
No, we played the hardest course first. The scores got
Yeah.
a little bit better every day, but and then I happened to check the leaderboard at home, and I see that the course, a course that you play at occasionally, these guys won. I'm like, do you know those guys? Are there any sticks in that group, or is it like the right
I
combination
do.
of sticks and 8
I do. The pro is shout out Webb Hannon out in up in Kennebunkport, Maine. But yeah, the pro's unbelievable player, Eric Higgins, and a couple other guys I know, just friends of family friends and stuff. One of the guys in that picture you showed me of them winning the with the trophy and everything, I could tell it kind of looked like him, but I was like, it kind of looks like him if he was. This is not the pro. It's another guy, but I was like, kind of looks like him if he had spent 3.5 days in Vegas. I'm like, sure enough, it was him.
Dude, absolutely.
To battle Vegas for
Oh my
that many
God.
days is a trophy worthy.
I pass no judgment
hats
on
off to them.
anybody who has a good time in Vegas. I pass no judgment, but there's only one. The only crew that I can really go and get after it in Vegas is like my friends from home that I feel very comfortable with. I know, so I just shut it. I went to dinner and I shut it down every night at 7:00. I'm like, this is great. I'm going to go to bed. I ended up getting up super early because I'm on East Coast time. I'm going to the hotel gym at 5 a.m. There are guys fully showered, fully dressed in golf. We didn't have to be at the course till 8. Fully showered, their golf bags in the casino. These guys are gambling and drinking Michelob Ultras at 5:45 a.m.
I would love a photo of a guy at like a craps table with the bag next to him.
I should have taken one. And then like there's guys like in the lobby, like like getting
Oh, yeah.
loose, like doing their swing rehearsals. I'm like, man, I'm just in an alternate.
But you've seen
universe
I
right
love
now.
those videos. You've seen them before. People post them. It's like my dad's waiting to get picked up for his golf trip, and it's like
Yes.
it's like 4:15 in the morning, and he's just sitting on the sidewalk
Yeah.
by himself in the dark.
And he's got like a rack of hangers with all the golf
Yeah.
shirts and everything. That was the scene. It was incredible. I don't know if I'll be going back out to Vegas. I am doing another Pro-Am at Pinehurst in March, which I'm looking forward to.
That would be a blast. Your first time at Pinehurst, right?
My first time.
You're gonna love it, and that's gonna be 3 months before the U.S. Open.
Exactly. That was the draw to get. I mean, like that'll
Yeah.
be so cool for us to podcast about that.
And do you know the courses you're playing down there, or they put you on your own kind of?
No, I will know. I'll have to send you the itinerary.
Yeah.
It's a good mix, including the cradle. All right,
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna save some of these stories. Let's wrap up. Let's do one.
We're in a cradle hat.
in play. Oh, sweet.
Shout out Cradle.
I can't wait to go. I'm gonna wreck the pro shop there. Didn't buy anything at TPC Vegas. Didn't seem like the place to get it, but Pinehurst.
No,
seems like
you
the
don't.
place.
You don't want TPC Vegas stuff. like-
Where's that head cover from? Oh, TPC
Yeah.
Vegas. You ever been there? All right. I want you to pick one of your in play or OB questions.
Oh yeah, I
for
want
this
to
week.
do this each week. I just want to get a couple of your take on some controversial stuff, or just things a lot of golfers can kind of bicker over. So it's basically buy or sell. We're going to say in or OB. So breakfast balls, where do you stand on that? Is that in or OB for you?
It depends on the round, and depends on like who you're playing, right? If I come drive to Boston to play with you and your dad and a buddy, and it's a Saturday morning, and like I didn't go to the range, and you guys let me hit another one, that's okay. But like I play with a group of guys we play every Wednesday morning. There's 4 of us. We throw balls in the first tee to make the teams. There's no breakfast ball. It doesn't matter if I just showed up 1 minute ago and slammed my trunk, or if I was there for an hour. You just go play. So I'm okay with it, but I also think like if you're kind of playing a mat, like there's also times where like no, there isn't one, and we're just gonna go. I think it depends on the type of round.
I'm with you. I'm anti. I'm not a fan of them. I'm also not a fan of like, giving people or giving myself 4 foot or 3 foot putts, like that's the difference between that can make a difference of 2 or 3 strokes on a handicap. These people who everything's in the hole, like 3 feet away, 2 feet away, they're doing
Yeah,
I'm all about, I'm not grinding over, 10-inch putts, but I'm a speed player, but you can't have a real handicap if you're taking practice balls and
no,
you're not putting out,
I
putts that you have less than a 95% chance of making,
I
right?
agree. I've also seen enough scenario. I used to think that like I needed one, and like if I hit one bad on the first hole is because I didn't warm it up. But I've shot enough scores now in like the low 70s where I just literally slammed my trunk and went right to the first tee that I know that that's not what that is from. So I totally agree on the point about the 3 or 4 footers. This is actually one of the things that I've improved a lot because I play with these guys every Wednesday. We basically hit cups. We call it hit like we're hitting cups today, which means like we're putting everything out, and we make each other putt 3 or 4 footers. And I play with a lot of guys who don't, and it's made me a much better putter in say a tournament where I'm not nervous over a 3 or 4 footer because you got to make them. And if I'm ever playing like a match, like a match play tournament,
Yeah.
I'm very stingy with giving putts because I feel like it's easier to be black and white. Like the game is made to hold the putt. And so if I don't give it to you, like you have to make it. If you're playing in a stroke play event, you got to make a 3 footer. And so
Yeah.
make it now. But I agree. And there's also a lot of fluff in most handicaps because of I just hit another one there, or
That's the
like
thing. It's like the reverse sandbag, and people don't get that. It's if your handicap is inflated the wrong way because you're have a lower handicap because you're not making these things, then you're going to go complain about other people being too high. It's like that's not what the problem is. You
yeah.
should be getting more strokes. You want to appear to be a better golfer and have a lower handicap, but you don't want the ramifications of that, which is less strokes. So
Also,
I'm with you.
it has no impact on the pace of play. Like to your point, like you like to play
No.
fast, right? To me, that is not where fast or slow happens. It happens
Mm-mm.
in between. And like one of the things that the guys that I play with, we talk about a lot is like we like to play fast in the in between parts so we can have a lot of time on the greens and
Yep.
not feel like you're rushed.
Totally. Ready golf. You get a lot of people who are new to golf, right? And they're in the fairway kind
Oh,
of staring. It's like, well, I think the rule is you're up first. It's like,
oh my God.
no, just go. Just make sure you're not going
Also,
to kill anyone.
I'm so
But
used to
go.
playing. I'm so used to playing with like the 3 or 4 guys that I play with that are all like, let's say like 6 handicaps and below. It's
Yeah.
so nice because when you're walking up the fairway, you can hit and just walk.
You're not looking for balls.
You're not looking for balls, and you're not worried about like the guy who's 20 feet over there, like killing you. And that
Yeah.
makes a huge difference
Yeah.
in progress. Okay. I, I'm with you. I think it's easier to just do no breakfast balls, no gimmies. Just go play, and then that way, if you go shoot your 82, you can feel good about that, right? Like that.
Yeah.
It's a
I'm
good
with you.
round.
You want me to give you one more of these?
Yeah, I do.
In or OB? All right. How
Yeah,
about standing behind a pin while someone's coming out of the greenside bunker? Are you in or OB on that?
I am. I think it's okay if you know the ability of the person who's hitting this shot, and you're not running a half marathon the next day.
Yeah. You want to set this up, Dave? This is your favorite story of all
I
time.
don't know if this is the first time. I think this must have been the first time we ever played golf together. But
I think it was.
Casey and I were interns at this PR agency right out of college. Bunch of the people are talking, find out a bunch of us play golf. We get invited out to play golf with a couple of the VPs and others. Casey and I are in the same group. He's in a greenside bunker on a hole. One of the VPs is up on the putting green standing next to the flag. We've all done this. Casey hits an absolute hosel rocket out of the bunker, smokes this guy in the shin or the knee or somewhere in
the sweet spot
of the shin. Was it the sweet spot of the shin?
No, the kneecap. I
Oh!
remember the. I can still remember the sound.
Can you
It
try
was
to
the
react?
sound of my career going down the tube.
Luckily not. But
But
smoke this guy in the leg. And like, this happened to me on the floor. You try to play it off. You're like, it's okay. It's okay. I just have this vivid memory of like, this guy did not play it off well. And it was something like, fuck.
Made a lot of mention about I think he was running in like a 10K the next day. Shout out Ted though. Apologies.
Ted, if you're listening, you remember this story. He's like, yeah, man, I've had horrific arthritis in my right knee ever since then.
But not just the perfect, like I think it was like the 16th or 17th hole too. I was like, I got through this round without really offending anyone or, keep my job, and then bam. But look, don't stand behind the flag.
It's just funny.
Even if you know who's coming out of the bunker. Don't.
Yeah, I think it was lack of awareness. Or even if Tiger is hitting out of that bunker, like why would you be staying there? But the point of the story is it's just gets funnier to me as we get older to think about like the nervous intern hitting, inflicting pain on like the seasoned VP on the golf course with a shank is just great.
And it not being like, it's cool, don't worry about it. It was like, I'm in some serious trouble here.
This is awkward. This is one of the things that I love about golf though, is like, it really brings out, you could think somebody is one way in person, in work, in real life. And then like you get them on the golf course and watch them swing a golf club. Like there's this guy that I know, and he's this he plays in a band. He's got long hair and a ponytail. He just seems like a hippie, like stoner type of guy. On the golf course, dude, this guy smashes clubs. He throws balls into the water. He like into his bag like 4, 5, 6 times around. And I'm like, man, this is like, I hate that. And I hate that guy for doing that. But this is what I love about golf. It brings out this person in you that I'm like, oh, that's who that guy really was. Or even somebody like, take a great athlete. Like I remember on Instagram, I saw like Dwayne Wade getting into golf and trying to swing a golf club. And he's like one of the most athletic people ever. And he looks like a complete clown trying to swing a golf club. These are the things that I love about the game of golf that you don't really get anywhere else.
It's the best.
Okay. Unfortunately, we got to wrap. But this is it. This is the Long Game Podcast. We're doing this for the long game. Casey and I are doing this podcast, whether you listen to it or not. It's fun. If you listen to it, I need you to go to Twitter and I need you to tweet at us. I'm at Dave Gerhardt. Casey's Ford PR. You can, those Twitter handles are in the notes here. We want to start getting other people's golf stories. Send us some feedback about this episode, but we'll be here back next week. We'll recap the RSM. Do we know what's up after the RSM? What's next on the list? Let me see what's after we got the Hero.
I think that's Tiger's tournament in
the Hero World Challenge, baby.
In the Bahamas, right?
That's
so Tiger, rumor has it he might be making an appearance there, so we'll see.
All right, so that'll do it. I'm Dave. That's Casey. This is the Long Game Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.
He's talking the long game.
They played the long game.
They've got to play the long game.
They're experienced and they played the long game.